Hey everybody, Ken Hawkins, SOS Ministries. Was spending time in the Word with the family the other day. We do this all the time, several times a week. And one of the things my kids love to do when we're wrapping things up after spending time studying the Word is they like to pick a random object, just anything, maybe something they just think of or something they see in the room. And they want to pick that object and they want to see if I can take whatever they pick and take it to the gospel and lead them to Jesus. And so not too long ago, we were finishing up our time in the Word, and Abel said, okay, my turn. And he looks around the room and he goes, okay, trash can. And I said, okay, trash can. And there was two trash cans, and that's what I said. I said, listen, there's two trash cans, one for trash and one for trash that can be recycled. And a trash can is a really good example of us apart from Jesus. We're just filled with brokenness. We're filled with brokenness. We're filled with sin. We're filled with evil desires. We're filled with evil thoughts that come from those desires, and it produces trash. Jesus says, apart from me, you can do absolutely nothing. And I get that when you say, a trash can is a really good example of us or people apart from Jesus. Immediately people start to get offended. And Jesus knew this. Jesus would say, hey, blessed is everyone who's not offended because of me. But a trash can is a really good example of us apart from Jesus, of people apart from Jesus, of the world that doesn't belong to Jesus, because like I said, it's filled with brokenness. It's just like we're these containers filled with brokenness, and our hearts are broken and hard, and we have evil desires that produce evil thoughts and evil actions. And yet, the gospel is offensive to most people. And the reason it's offensive to most people is because of our pride. Like, we don't want to see ourselves in this way. And yet Jesus says, because of our brokenness, that no one is righteous. That in Romans 3, it says this: no one's righteous, no one's good, no one's wise. In fact, Jesus says that all have become useless, just like these two trash cans that are filled with trash. One of them, like I said, just trash, and one of them is also trash, but it was a container that held trash that could be recycled. And these two trash cans are a really good picture of the human grading scale, and the grading scale that the world uses, where we go, okay, well, I have more talents than this person, or I have more money than this person, or I have more possessions, I have more status. But ultimately, what we're doing when we're comparing ourselves to other people, what we're really saying is like, I'm better trash than this person, or I'm better trash than that trash. And that's what we would say, right? That the trash can that's filled with trash that can be recycled, we go, oh, that's useful. That's better trash than this trash. I'm not as broken as this person. And that's what we do when we compare ourselves to other people. And a lot of times that's what we do. We want to elevate ourselves. We want to lift ourselves up, and we push other people down around us. And we start to look at other people and compare ourselves to other people and try to find something wrong with somebody else so that we can make ourselves feel better about ourselves and make our trash look useful. And yet Jesus is the grading scale. When we all compare ourselves to Jesus, we find that we're all on level playing ground, right? There's that saying, at the foot of the cross, we're all on equal playing ground, or we're all on level ground, and we're all in the same place. And this is what it's talking about in 1 Corinthians chapter 1 and verse 26, where it says, remember, dear brothers and sisters, that few of you were wise in the world's eyes, or powerful or wealthy when God called you. Instead, God chose the things the world considers foolish in order to shame those who think they are wise. And he chose things that are powerless to shame those who are powerful. God chose things despised by the world, things counted as nothing at all and used them to bring to nothing what the world considers important. And as a result, here's the result of all that. This is why Jesus chooses what the world considers foolish, what the world considers nothing. You get this? Jesus on purpose chooses what the trash considers trash. And he does this so that the result would be no one can ever boast in the presence of God. He does this to humble us, to humble everybody, and to bring everybody to an encounter with him. To bring everybody into his presence so that we see ourselves clearly. And this is so important that we get this, right? If you're offended, this is either like, when you think about the gospel and you think about the cross, and if you're offended by the gospel, it's because you have pride. And our pride keeps us from experiencing the love of Jesus. That's too great to fully understand. And it's only when we really experience the love of Jesus that's too great to fully understand that we're made complete and then filled with all the fullness of life and power that comes from him. And as long as we look at the cross and we and there's so many people out there right now that are just twisting the gospel and preaching a different gospel and talking about love yourself and all this stuff. And it's funny that Jesus says, don't love yourself, hate yourself. And see, right as soon as you hear that, people are going to be offended. And yet Jesus goes, what you need to do is you need to crucify yourself. You need to give up your way, deny yourself, pick up a cross where Jesus is going, crucify yourself, surrender completely to me. And you go, well, I don't want to give up my life. It's not really your life. It's not really my life. That we were all created through Jesus and for Jesus. And what we've done is take what rightfully belongs to him, and we've taken it and done whatever we wanted with it, and we've played God, and we're filled with trash because of it. We're broken because of it, and we're filled with trash. And so as long as you look at the cross, or anybody that teaches you, the cross shows you how valuable you are. The cross shows us the depth of our sin and how disgusting and vile our hearts have become. And the cost of redeeming us, right? That Jesus died on the cross for our sins. And so it's this thing where we realize in the presence of Jesus who we really are and how desperately we need him, where we mourn ourselves. We don't love ourselves. Blessed are those who mourn. Blessed are those who are poor. When we realize who we really are and we mourn ourselves and grieve over who we are and how nasty our hearts are. Now, see, like we look at this in this grading scale we use in the world. What we'll try and do is we'll try and do a bunch of behavior management, and it's the equivalent of scooping up the trash bag out of the trash can and taking out the trash. What happens? It just fills up with trash again. And in the real sin, our sinful nature is like that goopy, grimy, nasty, rotting, juicy stuff that leaks out of the bag that's coating the inside of the trash can. And so you can try and manage your behavior all you want, but it just keeps coming back. And yet when we really realize who we are, and we realize that I desperately need Jesus, and we come to him begging for forgiveness, and going, man, I'm so sorry, Jesus, with what I've done, with what belongs to you. I'm so sorry, Jesus, with what I've done to your image. I'm so sorry, Jesus, that I crucified you. That's what it cost to redeem me, to regain possession of me, because of how nasty I am and how broken I am. And then, at that moment, Jesus goes, listen, I don't need you. And we realize he doesn't need us, but he wants us. And that's a mind-blowing thing. See, as long as we're looking at the cross going, that shows my value, we can make sense of why somebody would die for us, or why somebody would give up their one and only, or give us everything, and yet he owes us nothing, and he wants to give us everything. We deserve the cross. He takes our place. That's what we deserve. And yet he steps in front of us and he takes our place. And it's at that moment when we realize that Jesus didn't give us what we deserve. See, this is either going to be such good news, and it's the greatest news ever for me, because I know that I'm the worst. And I know apart from Jesus, I'm just a trash can filled with disgusting, vile things that come from my sinful nature. Or it's going to be offensive to you. You're going to be offended, and you're going to continue to reject the love of Jesus that's too great to fully understand. Because when we realize who we really are and that Jesus wants us anyway, and that he died for us while we were his enemies, it makes it so easy to trust him when you're not anymore. And when you realize, man, oh my gosh, that's real love, and you experience the love of Jesus that's too great to fully understand. You'll be complete and filled with all the fullness of life and power that comes from Jesus. And that's what happens. This miracle takes place. It's a miracle that Jesus puts his spirit in you. He gives you his heart, and now it produces his desires and his character. And think about this. This is the transforming work that Jesus does. That brings everybody to be humbled in his presence. That he chooses what the trash considers trash, and he transforms it. And why do we call a trash can a trash can? Because of what it holds. Because it holds trash. And we don't often separate out, that's a trash can and that's trash in the trash can. We just go, hey, go put that in the trash. Or, hey, over there is the trash. It includes the container. And yet when Jesus enters us and dwells in us by his Spirit, and this miracle takes place, and he cleans us up, and he gets all that nasty, grimy, sticky, rotting, slimy goop that's just deep down in there, right? Because that's the thing that keeps causing all the big trash that's so easy to see. We keep trying to deal with this stuff and these behaviors in our lives, and yet it's that grimy stuff that's stuck to the inside, that's in our hearts. And when that miracle takes place and Jesus enters into us, and the Holy Spirit enters into us, starts to clean all that and clean the inside of the container out. And he does this by giving us a new heart, giving us his desires. It produces his thoughts. And the result is his ways. And so now, here it is. It's the same container, but you can't call it a trash can anymore, right? Because it's holding something else. It's filled with something else. And so now that trash can is now a treasure chest, filled with the very presence of the one and only living God. And this is where Jesus now points to us as examples of his power, his love, his grace, and his wisdom. And he goes, that's my treasure.